purpose of this little lecture will be to talk about how DNA replication actually occurs. And so we talked about the overall idea at the end of the last lecture, and we said that one molecule, let's back up for a slide here, we said that one DNA molecule splits apart and that two new strands of DNA are laid down based on the base sequence that we find in that old strand. And so now our task is going to be to talk about how exactly that occurs. That all begins when an enzyme called DNA helicase comes along. DNA helicase is not depicted in this particular slide, but we'll see it on a slide in just a moment. DNA helicase comes along and unzips the DNA. In other words, it pulls the two strands of DNA apart. And so once those two strands are apart, then an enzyme called DNA polymerase moves along each strand and lays down the new DNA based on the sequence of bases found in the old strand. So here we see a DNA polymerase moving along this strand of DNA, laying down new nucleotides. So you likely realize that this is a nucleotide. What I'm pointing to here is a sugar, a phosphate, and a base. A sugar, a phosphate, and a base. So the purple nucleotides represent the brand new ones that are part of this new strand, and of course the red ones are part of the old strand. And so DNA polymerase moves along each of these strands, laying down new bases in this complementary manner. The end result then is that we have two identical DNA molecules. Each DNA molecule is half new and half old, and therefore we refer to this as semi-conservative replication. So at this point we want to look at an animation of DNA replication. This is one of my favorite animations of this process, and you have a link available to you to this YouTube video that's found under our Chapter 6 class materials. So let's take a look at this. This shows what occurs in the process of replication. This, of course, is the DNA molecule, and what's occurring here is you'll recognize this enzyme as DNA helicase. DNA helicase is moving down that double-stranded molecule, separating the two strands. Now, the nucleotides that are going to be part of the new strand are floating all around here. See those nucleotides that are floating everywhere? And DNA polymerase comes along each side, each of those old strands, and lays down those new nucleotides. And so this is the process of DNA replication. This is what it actually looks like. And so incredibly, in millions of cells in your body at this moment, this particular process is occurring. DNA replication occurs continually in your body, and we'll talk more about it later in our class too, as we talk about mutations and the effects that mutations may have on organisms. When a mistake is made in the replication process, then a mutation is introduced into the DNA.